Hey Outlet Creators, this is Nicole from Berlin. I'm your guest vlogger today. Some of you might know I won this wonderful cup. Thanks for it again. And thanks for having me again. I'm really excited. When Tracy kind of hinted to some interesting topic that you're gonna have this week, I was like really waiting for Michelle's video to come out and see what it was gonna be. And then I got inspired and I started collecting all of the different LGBT related issues, topics, and everything I kind of like had for the last week or so, and so I did gather this all together, and then I thought, it would be wonderful to make a video out of it too. And then I emailed with Michelle, and here I am. So thanks for having me again. Well, in Europe, there's lots of stuff going on right now. If you might have seen on HuffPost with regard to LGBT rights, because France has passed parts of a bill on marriage, same-sex marriage. The UK also, and in Germany something is moving too, because the Conservative Party is having kind of a conflict from within, whether they want to give up their stance against same-sex marriage. So to fill you in, here we have a registered partnership, and but we have all of the same duties, but not all of the same rights. What is left out is the adoption right and income tax things. So there was one court decision last week on adoption, and there's still you still cannot adopt as a same-sex couple, but you now can not only adopt a biological child of your same-sex partner if you're in a registered partnership, but you can now also adopt the child your partner has adopted before you and is not the biological child. So we're waiting for the full adoption rights to come, and income tax is in the court, and in summer there's going to be a decision. So we're having elections in September coming up, and suddenly the Conservative Party is moving and does not want to be passive on this anymore. So we're looking forward to some changes. Let's see how this is going to work out. Alright, what else happened? I was in a photo exhibition in one of the Eastern European embassies here in Berlin, which was wonderful. The state that I went to, the state embassy that I went to, is known for being quite sexist and homophobic. And there was an exhibition on strong women in that country, which I really liked. And the ambassador was opening up this exhibition being very sexist in his comments, and interestingly enough, people really took a stance and left during his speech. That was great. And also there was quite a bit of a mixed crowd of queer community being present, and taking a stance against this homophobic government, which is really, really nice to see. What else? Well, what I really like to do is, like, whenever I talk to friends or closer colleagues or whatsoever, I really like to talk about inequalities for LGBT people in Germany and in Europe. And so I went out for a beer with one of my colleagues from university, and we chatted about marriage equality. She's from the Netherlands, and they're much more, like, they have equal rights there. So it was very wonderful to have a chat and see that she's really well informed, even though she's a straight ally, and that was great. Last weekend I was kind of looking around, because what I really like is kind of looking at the different soap operas and movies, how LGBT rights, or especially LGBT couples, are presented there. And I realized that over the last years, lots has changed from, like, having tragic love stories that can never work out, to really having fully fledged stories on LGBT characters and couples, which is really nice. And I kind of like to compare between different countries, so I kind of watch European movies and soap operas, but also North American and South American soap operas and movies, and this has like throughout the whole world, this has changed from being just tragic stories to having fully fledged characters, which is really nice to see. There's something going on right there. What else happened during the last week or so? Let me see. Let me take a look at my notes. Well, I kind of really enjoyed some of the discussions I had this week too. I also mentioned the colleague, but had a good talk to another friend of mine talking about kiss-ins and for LGBT rights and raising awareness. And that friend said, well, even consider me as a straight ally, and I'm looking forward to going to some of those kiss-in to take a stance against LGBT issues, which is really nice to hear. What else happened? If you want to see how this all evolves with the gay marriage and adoption rights I've been just talking about, there's a real nice article on HuffPost from Scott Gunster on February 25th, trying to kind of see that adoption rights is an issue that is much less political, ideological somehow in the States, and marriage is much more an issue, and that if you compare it with Europe, Europe has much more of an issue with the adoption rights, and in some countries marriage equality is not the issue. Germany is somehow the exception, where we have issues with that on both. So that's an interesting thing to look at, how those LGBT rights evolve over time in comparison between Europe and the United States. So anyways, it's like here I'm like on the news, kind of like really trying to figure out how in German politics this is going to evolve, because actually I'm very much looking forward to the Conservative Party giving up their discrimination against LGBT people. The weird thing about it is actually really there hasn't been lots of change within the party, but what they're doing it for you guys to have the background is that we have elections coming up in September, and the Conservative Party is really looking forward to having an option to form a coalition government with the Greens. And what is in the midst, like what is hindering them to do that, is actually their stance on LGBT rights. So, I really much like that there's some change coming about in the Conservative Party, but, the political reason for that is actually the elections coming up. So let's see what happens after the elections too. Anyways, I've been rambling on. So, what to take out of this week? Some wonderful discussions on LGBT issues, some good insights on soap operas and movies, that it's not all about tragic love stories, but really things are like getting more like into fully fledged characters. This is really nice. And also, what else do I get out? Actually really also like the exhibition thing, that you can take a stance, you can be there, and you can like really show also East European governments that are quite like homophobic and sexist, that we don't accept this. And this was very nice to see in this exhibition on strong women in that state. Well, this is kind of like a fill-in from Europe, and thanks for having me. Bye.